Hi, guys. Welcome back to another episode of Resilient Women Wednesday. If you don't already know who I am, my name is Tammy. I am a C4C5 quadriplegic due to a car accident when I was 17. I know it's been a while since I've done an episode. As you may or may have not heard, after my recent vacation, Southwest dropped my power chair and smashed it to pieces and also bent the frame to my manual chair, so it's definitely taken a toll on me. But it's nice to be back, and I'm happy to be back with no other than Gigi and Bree because they also experienced the same thing around the same time as myself. So, Gigi, do you want to go ahead and share a little bit about yourself and your level of injury, and then we'll go to Bree?
Sure. So thanks for having us. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
My name is Gigi. I'm a C6, C7 quad from transverse myelitis. So I was diagnosed with transverse myelitis in 2009, so it's been almost 12 years. It'll be 12 years in December.
Mm-hmm.
But I have a spinal cord injury from that and was diagnosed when I was 21 while I was in my senior year of college. That's a little bit about me.
Gotcha. Thanks for sharing with us, G. How about you, Bree?
Hi, I'm Bree Scalisi. I've been a teetotal paraplegic, since I was 6 years old from a car accident. So I've spent more than much of the majority of my life in a wheelchair.
Yeah. And, off topic, how was it, growing up? Because that's such a young age. Was it, was it different, in terms of schooling and stuff like that? Do you remember?
I think that it's interesting because I have lived so much of my life in a chair, but I think still, once you hit a certain age, like puberty and high school, you still notice that you're different because kids, of course, are going to point out that you're different.
Yeah.
Schooling was similar. I did have to change schools. There was only one wheelchair accessible elementary school in my town.
Yeah.
So I had to start school and make new friends.
Yeah.
But otherwise, school was pretty much the same. Just, kids are interesting when it comes to different things. And I had, some amazing friends, and I had some tough times just with, really different.
Yeah, gotcha. Well, look how far we've come along. Okay, thank you for sharing your story, Bree. I guess we'll get to the questions. We'll start off with wheelchair damage. Gigi, at what moment did you discover that your wheelchair was damaged?
Yeah, so I traveled on a flight with Bree and her friend Lucy, who actually was traveling on a voucher with Delta because from her chair being broken the last time she had flown with them. So just giving that context as well. So we were traveling to Phoenix, Arizona from New York to visit our friends there, Liv and Christina. And so I was the last one off of the plane. And I was traveling with my manual chair that has power assist wheels. And every time I fly, I am terrified of my chair being broken. And so I had signs that I put on my chair about how to lift it properly, how important it was. And I usually try to talk to the person that's putting my chair, underneath the plane, in the plane, but we didn't have a chance to do that. We were kind of rushed onto the plane. I'm sure has happened to some people before where you're supposed to have time to be able to get on, but they were rushing us. So I didn't talk to anyone putting it in the plane. So I was the last one. I was the first one on and the last one off of our group. And so I didn't realize until I was transferred into the chair and I could kind of see that my wheel was not in the right, it just didn't look right.
Yeah.
And so I tried pushing it, and it wasn't rolling properly. It was rolling inwards, and so it making strange noises and all that stuff. So at that point I was like, oh, okay. And I didn't know whether whether it was the wheel that was broken or the frame that was bent, because I just didn't know yet. It was as soon as I kind of got off the plane and into my chair, it was pretty obvious that it was unusable.
Gotcha. Okay, how about you, Bree? What moment did you discover yours was broken?
Yeah, so I hadn't ever really experienced too much anxiety with flying previously to having like flown with Gigi and Lucy. I had traveled a lot and I had never had my chair broken. But then after what we went through with Gigi, I was flying to Minnesota for a wedding, and I was so nervous. But got there, my chair was fine, went to the wedding, everything was good. It was when I was coming back on the plane home that my chair was damaged. And my boyfriend, when we travel together, he carries me on and off the plane. And he had gone to like put our stuff down, and then came back to lift me, and I could tell that like maybe he had noticed that something was wrong, and I was like, "Do you think something's wrong?" And he's like, "I don't know. Like I think you should, get into it." So I already had like a sinking feeling, but it wasn't until I was he put me into my chair that I realized that. Like immediately you just feel that off balanceness, like how your chair feels, and I could feel that I was off balance, and it was like almost like a rickety table where one side is in the air and like not touching the ground, and he could see that the wheel wasn't touching the ground, and I could feel that, and so like my entire chair was kind of on a tilt.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened to my manual as well. And Gigi, you put signs all over your chair, and the funny thing is, for me, the person that I told to put a fragile sticker on my chair was the person who dropped it and broke it. I asked him, I was like, please don't drop it, please don't break it. And then not even 5 minutes of being seated, he comes in and he tells me. And not only that, he kneeled in front of my brother to tell him. And my brother understands that I don't like it when people don't speak to me directly. He's just like, you got to talk to my sister, man. And they both kind of like scurried over to my side, and like I was like livid, But yeah.
I mean, you shouldn't have to put signs on your chair. Like it should be, and it clearly didn't matter. Like I just do it, I guess, to make myself feel better and hope for the best. But still requires them to do the right thing.
Yeah, it was after I saw your video, I was super paranoid. I was like, I'm going to Disneyland. If they break my chair, like this whole trip is ruined, and my chair was broken coming back, and my flight was delayed for 5 hours, and I think they were rushing. There's something going on with like COVID and traveling and coming back. Being able to travel again, things are kind of out of sorts, and they're just rushing and very reckless. And before COVID, I have no explanation for why they would be reckless too. But yeah, Gigi, what exactly were all your damages on your chair?
Yeah, so I used the power assist wheels, and so one of my wheels was just completely unusable. It was like it would turn on, but it was warped. There were spokes that were bent. It just wouldn't roll at all. So for me, as a bod, it's hard to push a manual chair without that power assist, without that little boost from the power assist wheels. So thankfully we were visiting friends who were wheelchair users, and my friend Liv, had some extra just manual wheels, and she ran to a wheelchair supply store and got the pins that go on the wheels. She got longer ones that would fit my chair because I have the power add-on. And so I used that for the first day, but it was very difficult pushing that. Like Lucy and Bree had to push my chair periodically to give me a little boost. Yeah, literally just like that. As hard as like other wheelchair users pushing another, it's just not easy. So it was my wheel. It was just my wheel, right? But it was still a significant impact on my ability to get around. And,
of course. And no, it's not just your wheels. It's
right, exactly.
Your livelihood.
Yeah. But thankfully, my whole frame didn't have to be replaced, like in the case.
Yeah.
But it still ended up taking my chair longer than Bree's to get repaired. But which shows you that it just stuff takes a long time. But yeah.
Yeah. Thank God for our community. Like we're all so helpful.
I know.
It's so beautiful. I really love it. Yeah.
Seriously, without our community, I wouldn't have. We found through Liv and Christina's connections, someone who was willing to let me borrow her wheel while I was there, and then she let me take it all the way back to New York.
Yeah.
So without that, we would have been stuck near the hotel in a hotel.
That's wonderful. Okay, how about you, Bree? Like, what exactly were your damages again?
So it was the frame of my chair that must have been in some way warped, in some way bent. And then also, I think because of the frame being warped and bent, the brake on one side was completely pushed up against the wheel. So it was like very difficult to like move because the brake was pushing so far into it. But I think that was just all stemming from the literal frame being warped that just throws off like the entire chair. And at that point, they need it like completely, like, you know, having to be replaced. Like there's nothing they can do.
Yeah, and they're expensive too. And the center of gravity is off. It's not something like where you can pop on different wheels and push. Yeah. So what airline were you both? What airline did you fly? And can you give a description of what filing for damage claims was like? Like paperwork and reimbursements?
So Delta was the airline for both of us. Every person I interacted with from Delta was nice. There wasn't, any issues with the people or anything like that. I did get a call from their executive office that weekend, I think partially because of the video, but I was in contact with someone before that. We had to go down to the baggage area because it's still within that department, even though wheelchairs are not baggage, but that's how airlines usually manage it, and I had to file the claim. They said someone would come out that day, which they didn't do. My friend Liv had to take the wheel to a vendor, just to get inspected. And they opened an extra 10 minutes for us to be able to do that. Otherwise, Delta, who they work with, would have expected me to wait the entire weekend. They were going to send someone Monday or Tuesday, which would have been, this was on Friday, that it was damaged, so it would have taken days. But they did pay for all of the repairs. They paid for me to ship the wheel back to the person I borrowed it from, and they reimbursed her the cost of our flight, my flight, and the rest of us. But it definitely just took a lot of staying in contact, and they wanted to re-inspect the wheel again, even though there was some back and forth that occurred, but yeah.
Yeah, those 3 days to the average person is like nothing, but for someone who's disabled, it's like a century, like our livelihood and just our physical abilities it throws a wrench in our schedule, which is
we wouldn't have been able to do anything. We did. We were there Friday to Tuesday, I think, right? So it would have been basically the entire trip that I wouldn't have had a ferry. And they wanted to send me home in a standard airport chair, which I can't.
I hate. Yeah, they offered that to me too, and was like, "That's not how it works. Sorry."
Yeah.
Thanks, but no thanks. Right.
Yeah.
And for you, Bree, which airline were you flying, and what was your filing? Was like.
So I was also flying Delta. We had went to Arizona in May, and then previously to booking, our Arizona trip, I had also booked this trip for the wedding. I don't know if I would have chosen to fly Delta. I don't think I've heard that so many different airlines have this issue, so I don't think it's airline specific, but I think just because I just had this traumatic experience, maybe I would have chosen a different airline, but the tickets were already booked, we were already going, so it was, again, also Delta, and a really similar situation, but I think it's really interesting to have been on both sides of it, where I watched Gigi go through it, so then it was just a much more emotional experience, I think, going through it the second time, because it was just so close to what she had been through. And I think I also had kind of protocol for what to do, and I realized, I need to handle this immediately before leaving the airport, before even leaving the jet bridge. I need to take photos, I need to be responsible for documenting this, so everything can, move more quickly. And so also went to baggage claim. They thought we were there for broken baggage until finally the person who had been radioed down came and talked to us and realized it was my wheelchair. And they let me speak to the representatives from the company, the wheelchair repair rental company, on the phone. And when I spoke to them, explaining my situation, explaining that it was a broken frame,
Yeah.
they told me, we can give you a rental, and the rental would be about 17 inches, like the cushion. And for me, I'm in a 13, 14 chair, depending on what chair I used during this process, because then my friend lent me a chair after it was broken and before I was using, my chair. But 17 is just way too big, and I said that to them, and I was like, I can't be in a 17. Like, I can't do that. And the woman on the phone said to me, she said, this is going to take a really, really long time. And I heard those words, and I just went into a complete and total breakdown. I was angry at first and was definitely speaking with a lot of assertiveness, but then I just went into a lot of emotion and kind of like pushed the phone at my boyfriend, and then I don't think I was really consolable or like good at having conversation once that happened. Sorry, my computer is checking for updates. Can you guys still see me?
Yeah, we can still see you.
So also the damages were completely covered. My wheelchair was completely replaced, and I was shocked that my wheelchair came in about 6 weeks, which I really, after talking to that woman who said it would take a really, really long time, never expected to happen, and didn't even know it was really happening until the week that I received it. So I was really surprised, because I know that a lot of people in our community have waited much, much longer.
Yeah. And, piggybacking off what you were saying, I definitely, learned what to do through Gigi's video, because as soon as they told me that, I was like, here's my phone, like, go take pictures of it, please. And I need multiple up-close pictures. And, after that, I think I didn't realize the extent of it until they wheeled up my entirely, like, crushed wheelchair. I was just like, wow, like, how did you manage to do this in, like, 1 minute, But yeah. Okay. Did the airline help you connect to any vendors to help you find momentary loaners, Gigi?
No, they didn't. So when I got home, they didn't connect me to anyone. Again, they would have sent someone out on Monday or Tuesday, we left on Tuesday. So, so their option was to give me an airport wheelchair. And then when I got back to New York, I said to them, look, this person is letting me borrow their wheel until I get home. If something happens to the wheel, are you going to cover that? Because we would have heard wheel got damaged, on the way back. And they said, yeah, I will cover damages if that happens. My chair got back okay. But then I felt, I didn't want to be using her wheel while I was home. And just in case something happened to it, I just wanted to get it back to her. So I called my vendor that I work with here locally and said, hey, can you get in contact with the people who make the wheels and see if they have any loaner wheels I can use? So through that, I managed to get a pair of loaner wheels and was able to send her back to them, and they'll go back to her via FedEx. So at no point were they, like, I don't even think the company that does the rentals and stuff has my wheels that, available for rent or anything. So yeah, it was only through my connections and through our friends' connections that I had anything that I could use.
Yeah. Gotcha. It sounds like, just like myself, I think you had to do the bulk of the legwork, like a lot of phone chasing, which is already exhausting on top of the emotions you're going through.
Yeah, it was tough. I mean, the first day, again, I also kind of did what Bree did, and I handed my phone to our friend Liv and was like, when it got so frustrating that I couldn't do it anymore, I was like, please just do this. And so she took over, and then after that, it was just a lot of back and forth between the guy locally in Phoenix who we were working with, who was very nice and, tried his best, but it was just a lot of, like, back and forth and miscommunications and all that.
Yeah. Gotcha. How about you, Bree? Did the airline help you connect to any vendors to find a momentary loaner?
Yeah, so in that moment, because we all saw kind of what Gigi went through, I knew that we needed to have them get into contact with someone on the phone, because with Gigi, we ended up, talking to them back at our hotel room. But for me, I was like, I want this to happen in the airport. I want you to call them. I want you to communicate with them so you can see the process of like everything. And so they reached out to the company for me, and luckily, because I was home, the company was, based close to my home, so I was able to work with them. But they also did not get out to see me until I think 2 days after. And once they got out to see me, immediately realized, as they had realized in the airport, that it was like a full replacement, and they just were very honest about not being able to offer me adequate replacements. And so I tried a very old chair that I had when I was younger, that was at my grandma's house. We went and we picked it up, and it just doesn't function. It's just not a functioning chair. And it was also my teenage chair, and an adult woman now. But amazingly, luckily, and I was hesitant because I think it's such a massive thing for someone to literally give you a chair. But my friend Liv offered me her spare chair, and I just think that's huge. And as you guys were saying before, in our community is so beautiful. These are many, many thousands of dollars pieces of equipment, and we just offer them to each other so openly and so lovingly. And so I was using Liv's chair for that whole 6-week period until I got my chair. And I was really lucky that basically it fit, because I've seen people that have to have these loaner chairs in the meantime that are doing damage to their bodies, and that's so terrifying.
Yeah. Yep. And our community is really beautiful, because I live down the freeway from Jo Marie. I think you guys might know her. She lives down the freeway from me. She's just like, you can borrow my wheelchair. I'm a lefty, but you can still borrow it. My left arm is the weaker one, but I was so desperate, I almost picked up her lefty wheelchair, just hoping it would work, But yeah, thank God for our community. It was rough. And I think not only that, the support helped, the comfort and the empathy as well. And, you both too. Thank you so much for reaching out and sharing my story too. I really appreciated that. So Gigi, how long did it take for your replacement to come?
Yeah, so it took almost 11 weeks. So they sent me, I got the wheels before that, but they sent them with the wrong tires. So I used air tires, and they sent me with solid tires, which they're just, I don't know, they're just, it's New York City streets to be pushing with solid tires, I find, personally. Bree uses solid tires, but I was like, no, this isn't what I had, you have to replace it. And so it took 11 and a half weeks, because there was a tube shortage or something, I don't know. So actually someone else via Instagram offered to send me a spare set of tubes, which I got, which then shortened the amount of time. I don't know when I would have gotten my wheels otherwise. But then last Friday I got a flat tire, so I don't know if things were installed properly or what, but so right now I'm back to using one of the loaner wheels and then one of my wheels, because they haven't picked up the loaner wheels yet, but
almost this resolved soon.
Yes, they're coming to fix it next week, so.
Oh, good. Okay. That's good to hear. How about you, Bree? How long did it take, for your wheelchair to arrive on?
Yeah, basically from the date that they put in, I think, the request until receiving my chair was about 6 weeks, which is about the time they had told me. I think they had said between a month and 6 weeks, and so I was shocked.
Yeah, I'm so glad all of us got our chairs back. Are your fittings, aside from what Gigi's going through, are your fittings okay now, or did you have to do some adjustment as well?
The fittings for my chair?
Yeah, was it, did you have to adjust anything?
Yeah, so I realized getting into my friend Liv's chair, because I was using her chair for the 6 weeks, and she had a 13-inch, and I guess I ended up having a 14, which I didn't know that I had, but the 13 fit me a lot better.
Yeah.
And I had asked, the company if they could make the new chair a 13, and they said that they thought it was already in production and that wouldn't be possible. So I do wish that it was a bit smaller, just having gotten used to this other chair, but I'm grateful. It's basically the same chair as the chair I had before. And now I know that if in the future, when time comes for a new chair, I can, always size down.
Gotcha. Are you guys getting your manual through, like, the 5-year mark that the insurance covers? Or do you pay out of pocket for your chairs?
Yeah, I wait the 5 years typically.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
same.
Yeah.
So I got my chair I got in 2018, I think. So I'm not eligible for 2 more years, I guess.
Same. I got my power chair.
Yeah. Also 2018.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're all gonna get new chairs around the same time. Yay.
Yeah.
Okay, so each person's disability is very specific and unique to their own level of injury. How did it affect your daily life and independence when you didn't have your primary chair? Gigi?
Yeah, so, as a quad, I can push a manual chair, just not very far and not for very long. So that first day was really rough because I was using manual wheels and I was slow. They were all racing ahead of me and I was just like trailing behind. But it was hard. My arms were killing me at the end of the day. There's no way I could do that for more than a day. It's just not. But thankfully, again, I borrowed a set of wheels, and then I got loaner wheels, so I wasn't without the ability to use my chair except for a day. But again, none of that was through the airline. It was all through our connections or me advocating to get a set of loaner wheels. So, but yeah, I just can't push a manual chair with manual wheels. So having those power assist wheels is incredibly important, and without them, I can't get around the city or do anything. So.
Aside from pushing, did it affect like how you self-cared for yourself as well?
Not really. I think it was mostly just the pushing. I don't think there was anything else about because my chair itself was fine. It was the wheels that were problematic. So, and the wheels, like indoors, I don't even usually turn them on. So indoors is fine. It's more just being able to go out and move more than just the area of my apartment or whatever small space I'm in indoors.
Yeah, that's good. I'm glad it wasn't too strenuous. You seem very independent too, so that I'm happy for you.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a C6, C7 quad, and I'm in fleet, so I have a fair amount of I'm able to transfer and do all that. So, but yeah, definitely impacted. I mean, I still just I don't have the hand function to be able to push.
Yeah.
Car in the city or anything, or take the subway. So.
Yeah. Gotcha. Okay, how did it affect your care and your daily schedule, Bree?
Yeah, it was actually a pretty big adjustment for me to the chair that Liv was loaning me. I have barely any dump in my chair, and she has like quite a bit in her chair. Yeah. She's also 3 inches taller, or 4 inches taller than me. And so just, a longer chair, the measurements were like slightly off. Luckily everything else was pretty similar, but adjusting to that, balance. Also, Liv has like nothing built into her chair for anti-tippers, which I've been using my whole life since I was little. Yeah. So I adjusted to not using anti-tippers, which was really scary at first. And then I had a black t-shirt rolled up underneath my feet for the majority of the 6 weeks, just to kind of compensate for the length.
Yeah.
And, my job is modeling, and I had actually quite a few shoots in Bertha, which is the name of Liv's chair. And it was definitely different, and it was something to kind of wrap my head around, that I was in this different chair and I move differently in it, and it looks differently and all these things. And when I look back, and there's a lot of shoots actually that I have now, and like I'm seeing now that we're in Bertha, and it was just an interesting time, but it was definitely a difficult time, and like it is a reminder, I think, sometimes when I see those shoots of that time, and I don't know, I can't exactly vocalize or put into words why it was so difficult. I mean, the trauma of the actual breaking of the chair was obviously a big deal, but just even those 6 weeks of being in a different chair, I just did not feel like myself.
Yeah.
Even though I adjusted to the chair and everything was okay, I didn't feel like me.
Yeah, no, I understand because I was planning to drop my my new hats during summer. And I was so excited. I was like on a roll. Like I was such a high in my life, and all of a sudden it just came crashing down. And then when I had to take pictures to promote for my hat, I'm in this like big bulky chair, and they're like the armrests are kind of outdated and there's sticks to it, and it wasn't me. And like I was so upset, because I had such big plans for my line. And I mean, people were still supportive, but I wasn't happy with the pictures. It wasn't what I envisioned, and I find myself trying to post pictures where like not so much of my loaner chair shows. So definitely empathize and know what you're talking about. Yeah. It doesn't just affect like, physically and your care, but just, the routine and what you're used to too. Yeah. Okay, in what ways did this traumatic experience take a toll on your mental health and emotional health, Gigi?
Yeah, so I think obviously initially finding out was devastating because I thought we were just going to have to turn around and go right back. And I thought, again, it was going to take forever to get a new set of wheels. And I was like, okay, well, it did take a while. But so yeah, I was just devastated. That's why I started crying. I'm not a huge, in public crier. So to have, it's been a little strange to have so many people see a video of me crying. But as long as it's, contributing to changing, having this be something people talk about, or, it's willing to have lots of people watch videos of me crying. But yeah, it's been strange. I think I kind of, once I was set with, knowing that it was in product, that the wheels were being ordered, having the loaner wheels, I think I kind of just did my best to just move forward and keep going. I think maybe watching the situation was a little bit more traumatic for Bree and Lucy, seeing someone they care about be so upset. And then going through it again. So yeah, for me it was just the frustration of having to deal with calling and following up and making sure everything's okay, and that can be frustrating, especially if it takes time out of your day, and it's just but it's just added to my fear of flying overall, and my fear generally of my chair getting broken and how much I rely on it to function and do everything I do. So
yeah, I feel like I wanted time to be mopey because it was so it was such a flood of emotions, and it's really traumatic. It's not something I can explain, but I'm sure you guys felt it. It's like you can't believe that it's actually happening. But all the legwork was so stressful, so I can only imagine what you are feeling, and I completely empathize. How about you, Bree? How did it take a toll on your mental health and emotional health? Because when I saw your video and you were like, I woke up today and wish it was a nightmare, I fully knew what you meant, because I woke up and there was a moment of silence where I forgot, and then you're like, shit, that did really happen. How am I going to get by today and the following weeks, and for, how long?
Yeah. So watching Gigi go through it was crazy and so painful.
Yeah.
And it's such a different experience when it's someone you love so deeply going through it. And you just feel helpless because you love that person so much and you don't want them to go through it. And I remember saying to her, I was like, I wish it was my chair. And she's like, what are you talking about? No. And I was like, I wish it was my chair. Like, I wish it wasn't your chair.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the first time I've gotten a little bit emotional talking about it. But then going through it myself and going through that experience, like being on the inside of it, it was the mental effects after more than the physical effects even. You know, I was really lucky to be in a chair that didn't, you know, have any damages to my body or like it fit me essentially fairly well. But it was the mental effects of just going through all that and just the comments. Like we had thousands of comments and millions of views, and it was tough. And I think sometimes we laughed at the really ridiculous, really horrible comments, and sometimes we were on the verge of tears because there was so much disrespect, I think, for our humanity as disabled people. And it just, I was having a hard time, I think, processing that, how people can disrespect wheelchairs so blatantly in the process of taking care of them, and then B, how blatantly people don't care when they are broken and how people don't understand what a wheelchair even means. I just think I was overwhelmed with this sense of how truly ignorant the world is to the things that we as people with disabilities go through. And like, I know that on a daily basis, but it was this like mass reminder, and just a lot of the cruelty too. And when I saw your experience, and then one of my other really close friends went through the same thing just last month, and then just so many other people have posted about it, like every time it just feels like a reemergence of that pain. And I frustrated. I think I'm still frustrated because I know that sharing our experiences is important, and I know it is going to make a difference, but it's like I want to see those actual visible changes.
And it felt very like invalidating the way like people would make a joke out of it or just say such cruel things. You know, it was overall like you said, it is very dehumanizing to have to receive that kind of like feedback when you're already struggling, you know, not just physically but mentally and emotionally. And I think about like how long this is going to last and if there is ever going to be change, you know. And it's just really difficult. But how are you guys doing now, like residually? How's your emotions and your mental health?
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay. It's frustrating to see it continue to happen. I know that there are organizations working on this, like, and there's some, you know, there's some like advocacy actions people can do, but it is frustrating to see it. I don't remember the last time I saw, so I think it was a few weeks ago. Like, it continues to happen. I'm gonna have to fly again at some point. I'm not looking forward to that. It's just, I know flying is stressful for everyone, but when you've traveled with a mobility device, it's like 100 times the extent of, you know, it's just not knowing that when you get to where you're going, whether you're going to be stuck dead or in a chair that doesn't work. Like, it's really anxiety provoking. So, and I just feel for every time it happens to someone else, it's just like, seriously, this is still happening.
I completely understand. I feel the same way too. Like, you know, even though I've gotten my chair back, there's still this residual like anxiety. You know, do you feel flying anxiety, Bree?
Yes, for sure. I am cuckoo bananas now about flying and getting on a plane. I've had to fly twice since my chair was broken, which is pretty recent because my chair was broken on July 4th.
Oh, wow.
And I've been very strong, assertive, intense, and yeah, it's just been a whole change in the way that I fly, the way that I feel leading up to going to the airport, the way that I feel like as we're about to board. I'm so beyond lucky and privileged to have found out that as a manual chair user, a lot of flights will accommodate the manual chair on the plane, either seat strapping or a closet if it will fit. But obviously that's not an option for so many people in our community. And even depending on the flight, Gigi flew and was told that they weren't going to be able to seat strap her chair because the flight was full. So even when that option can be offered because your chair is magically small enough, it's not always a guarantee. And so I am very, very, very stern. Like I don't know if I'll ever get on a plane again unless my manual chair is on board with me, either seat strapped or in a closet. And I can't imagine, and that's why I feel so much residual like emotion and pain and empathy for everyone who doesn't have that option, because I don't know what I would do if that wasn't now something that I'm being so cuckoo bananas about every time I go to the airport. And I just feel so much for our community.
Yeah, definitely. But although the downside of us not being able to 100% prevent this from happening again, I do notice you guys are starting to travel again. What are you doing differently now when it comes to storage? And because I know not all airplanes have that storage unit, that large one across from the front aisle. What are you doing differently, Gigi?
Yeah, so I've only traveled once via plane since our trip, and I was with a large group of able-bodied people. So I chose, because I was scared of having my wheel broken again, to travel with manual wheels because I knew they could push me around if needed. So I knew I wasn't going to be as independent. They did have to push me around, but to me I didn't want to go through that again. So flying to where we were going, I asked for to store my chair in a closet. They said there was no closet on board, because with the manual wheels, I don't have to be kind of as careful as how they're stored as the power assist wheels that have a battery and other components that are easily damaged. Yeah. So they, I said, okay, well then let's do the seat strapping. And they were like, sorry, this is a completely full flight. You needed to notify us 72 hours in advance. That's not true. But they technically are supposed to kick people off the plane to seat strap your chair if you request. Like that is the law. So.
Oh really?
But
I had no idea.
Yes. So spread the word about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, they wouldn't. They basically were kind of guilting me into accepting that it wasn't going to be on the plane with me. So at that point, it was very early in the morning. I was like, you know what, my friend that I was with cried, and once we got on the plane, because we were sad we couldn't bring it on the plane with us, but the pilot brought it down for me and told me that he would make sure it was fine. So that was that. And then on the way back, the plane we were on did have a closet, and my friend was able to kind of fit the chair in folded. Again, I have a bigger chair than Bree, but it's still a manual chair and still small enough that I can fit in the closet, like the backrest, with the backrest folded down and the wheels taken off. But the next time I fly with my power assist wheels, I don't really know how that works with storing them. I don't know if they would even fit in the closet, or because it was kind of like a puzzle trying to fit the pieces together of the chair and the wheel. So with something where with the wheels, the power assist wheels, I have to be more careful of how they're stored. I don't know how it'll work. But and with the seat strap, I've never done the seat strapping method, so I don't know how that would work also with the wheels if they gotcha. I don't know how to do it. So. But my goal is to always have it also on board with me. Again, a huge privilege to be able to do that. Power chairs can't do that, and that's not okay. But yeah.
Wow, it's just so bizarre that we have to go through all of this to ensure that it's safe when it's kind of like their job and just what they're trained for, and it's just so crazy. But I'm glad you guys can bring your, for the most part, bring your chair on board. How about you, Bree? Have you been doing that as well?
Yeah, and even down to the psychology of how I approached the situation. At the gate, I said, and I don't know really where this came from. I think just from like all of the trauma happening, I decided the next time I flew, I was going to go in and be really assertive. So I said to the attendant that was at the gate, I said, I will be bringing my chair on board today. I would love to know how you can best assist me to do that. It wasn't, can I bring my wheelchair on board? Like, how will you steer my wheelchair? It was, I will be bringing my chair on board, so how can you assist me in making that happen? And I've done that both times now that I've traveled, or 4 times, I guess, because it was, back, forth. And so far it has worked every time. The last time I was flying home, they had people on standby that wanted to get onto the plane, and they asked me if they could give me a voucher to put my chair underneath the plane, and I said no. I honestly understand that people want to get on the plane, but if they miss their flight and they get on the next plane, they'll be okay getting off. I can't guarantee that getting off a plane with my wheelchair underneath the plane that it's going to be okay, and so I have to protect myself. And also airlines have made statements and put statements out that they see our wheelchairs as extensions of our bodies. So if you see my wheelchair as an extension of my body, then it should be on the plane with me. So I've just been very, very forward and very aggressive in a way that I am not normally.
Really? I was just going to say, I was like, wow, there's a very gracious, poised way in how you're very assertive. I think I come off a little more demanding and bratty, but I'm working on it, but
I'm just not used to
like that.
being that forward. So I think,
I think we can only take so much too. So it comes out.
Totally.
Yeah. Yes, I was just going to say, one of the questions was like, I noticed a storage unit isn't on all of the airplanes, Some compartments are smaller and some are bigger. I guess for everyone to know is that you can strap it to the seat next to you, right? By law?
No, so seat strap, Bree knows a bit more about this than I do. I believe it's strapped either to the first row or the last row, depending on the format of the plane. Well, I've been told it's either one, depending on how the plane is set up. And they somehow strap it. I don't really know. But it is a thing. You can go,
So for my chair, because I had this experience with Liv's chair where I didn't have the anti-tippers on, I haven't had the anti-tippers on this chair. And so basically when the wheels are off of this chair, it kind of sits like a human. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but like our foot plate is kind of at the front of the seat, and then my sitting sits in the seat, and then they just literally strap it together as if they would strap a person. But if you have anti-tippers on, or like your frame in some way doesn't sit that way, I don't know how they would seat strap it. But I know how my chair has been seat strapped, but that wouldn't work for Juju's chair.
That gives me peace of mind to know, because I travel always with my power and my manual, because I shower in my manual. But if I don't want them to break my manual, I can do that too. And just off topic for everyone who doesn't know, Southwest, their guideline is that if they replace your chair, they're going to take the damaged chair. But I was very stern, where I was just like, I fundraised for this chair. They're not taking my chair because you broke it. So they were like, they let me keep it, So if you ever paid for your chair out of pocket and you want to keep it to travel, since it's already kind of messed up, and you don't have to worry about them banging up your new one, just, be very stern and advocate for yourself and tell them that you want to keep it because you paid for it out of pocket and they damaged it. And this is your backup chair.
Yeah, they tried to do something similar with my wheel that's totally broken. It's still in Liv's garage right now. But they tried to tell me that they needed it back. And I was like, it's totally broken. You were free to come get it, but it's, she works full time. I was like, you're going to have to arrange with her. But that shouldn't be dependent on me getting the new wheel. They wanted that before they would give me the new wheel. And I was like, no.
Yeah, good.
What are you going to do with this broken wheel anyway? But yeah.
Yeah. Good. Stand your ground.
Yeah. Ridiculous.
So what are some of your tips? I notice you guys seem to travel a lot, and what tips in terms of self-advocacy you can give to others who are not much like travelers? For you as a C6, C7 quad what would your tips be, G?
Yeah, so I mean, I do what a lot of people do, which is like I don't eat or drink a lot before the flight because I can't use the bathroom. That's like one just thing that I don't think people think about unless they, like the first time I flew, I was like, how do I access the bathroom? And they're like, you can't. So that's one thing I do. But in terms of like self advocacy, I mean, I'm still like learning how to do that. Like I didn't force them to put my chair on the plane. When I flew. Recently, but if my chair has to go underneath the plane, I make sure I take off every part that is removable. Again, I try to talk to the person that's going to be putting my chair in the plane. You can't do that on the wherever you're going. You can't talk to the person, but so you only have the guarantee of the one way. But I try to kind of put a human face to the chair for them, and I say look, this chair is my entire life.
Yeah.
Please take care of it, and please lift it the way these signs say, and please make sure the sign that I, put the instructions is on the chair when you put it in there, so that the person who's getting it at the other end knows. And they're also able to communicate with wherever you're arriving. So I've had that where they've been able to radio the people that are taking it out to tell them, to make sure. And I've also had pilots and go down for me and get the chair when they've seen I've been very anxious. So I think just trying to talk to the person or advocating to have if you're able to have your chair on the plane. Again, that's not a solution for everyone. So and then I know a lot of power chair users will put bubble wrap around certain things, or you have to take the power off, unplug it from power, or give instructions. So I generally. Because I have traveled with a power chair before, and I did that. I bubble wrapped stuff, and then I had signs on how to do things properly. So communicating what you need, and then just being firm with if they say no, and knowing what your rights are too. I knew that I didn't have to give them 72 hours notice, but
Yeah. Okay, thank you for that too. That helps me out because I'm in the process of driving again, and the hand controls that I need to look at are down in LA, and I'm terrified to fly again. But it's good to know that I can just ask the pilot to, help me out, or ask them to radio over to the other airport. That gives me peace of mind. At least there's that option. Thank you.
They might not always do, but if the pilot's really the only one who can go down to when you arrive somewhere to get it, they can't send anyone else. So you can say please do this. This is my entire life, and you can say the last time I flew, my chair was damaged. Please, just trying to show them how important it is.
Yeah, gotcha. Thank you. How about you, Bree? What are your tips in terms of self-advocacy or just any traveling tips? How you take care of yourself and pre-plan?
Yeah, to piggyback off what Gigi said initially, definitely it is just such a horrible reality for so many wheelchair users that we dehydrate and don't eat before flying. And I think that shows how planes need to have a solution, not only for getting our chairs on board, but also for accessible bathrooms, because it's just not a possibility for me to tap on a plane in the bathroom. And so it's just something that really, really needs to be addressed. Yeah. But beyond that tip, which I don't think is a tip, I don't think it's ever good to dehydrate or to not eat. Yeah. For me, it's just that's how I found I can get through a plane ride without having an issue as a paraplegic. But beyond that, as I said, assertion, and for me, as someone who can seat strap, or if they give me the option to seat strap, just being very direct that, I will be seat strapping, because as Gigi said, it is a law that if the chair is a size that's able to be seat strapped, then they technically have to do that. And protecting yourself, and also just knowing that your chair deserves so much respect, and that it was really hard for me to say no, these people on standby won't be getting on the plane because my chair will be taking a seat today. But at the same time, just knowing that my chair is worth protecting, and it's a part of my body and it's a piece of me, and not feeling guilty for protecting that part of myself. And so just knowing that my chair is worthy of that respect. And
Yeah.
as you just, like, it is so hard to even fathom for power chair users who have like massive, horrible damages like you experienced to their chairs. But
Yeah.
that so far the best thing that I've found has just been talking to a person and giving a human face to my chair, which is so unacceptable that we have to do that and go through that emotional process. But
Yeah.
right now I don't know what better options are.
Yeah. I'm still nervous because the person that I told not to break my chair was still the person that broke my chair. So I feel like I've lost hope, but I'm trying to have hope. And in terms of, I just never thought about what other people do, like paras, or even how you would cath yourself, Gigi. I have a super pubic, so I just don't realize how you guys would have to do it too, where you would have to not eat or drink water. I guess for higher quads out there, if you have a super pubic catheter, I always bring an empty water bottle, or I bring extra leg bags, and the air pressure up high makes my pee bag expand into a bubble, and for some reason I pee a lot more. So yeah, it almost exploded this one time, and I had to yeah. I wanted to fly once by myself, and they told me that I was a liability and they couldn't touch me if I needed to empty my bag or I have to lean forward to weight shift because my leg goes numb, and I always have to put a do you guys know the brand Purple cushion, like the bed? Yeah, I bought a cushion like that and I put it under my butt, so I have to prevent pressure sores, and it's just not very inclusive for disabled people in flying. But
I was going to say something that we both always do is, at least for me, and then also we sit on our cushions, like on our chair cushions, while
I sit on a row. Yeah.
We have to protect our skin.
Oh yeah, I bring my Rojo on the airplane too, but I think it's too bubbly in that seat, and I sit too high up, and I don't have enough trunk control. So once they break, it's game over. Once they land.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I don't sit on a rojo normally, but I do on the plane because the cushion I use in my chair is a custom cushion that only works in my chair. Like, it doesn't pressure relieve outside. I use a Ride Designs custom, so I have a rojo that I sit on. But yeah, I'm like high up because of it, and my trunk control is okay, but it's not great. So when we land, I don't usually like being in the bulkhead because there's something in front of me. Like when we land, I like having my hand out in front so I can stop myself.
Yeah.
I also had the plane stop short, and I went flying and hit my head on the.
Oh no.
This is when we had already landed and we're just driving around, and they just stopped short, and I went bloop. So yeah, but sitting on the cushion is important. And yeah, I have the Trophonoff, the catheterized, so I could technically go, like, I have a catheter that's attached to a bag I can use.
Yeah.
Where I pass through looks like my belly button, but if you're sitting next to someone you don't know,
yeah,
it's a
there's
little
no privacy.
Awkward.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, and also for other higher quads out there who utilize a power chair, I'm going to insert a picture here of what I found. There's this reclinable, foldable power wheelchair. It can also recline in terms of how you can use your trunk control, and also you can pay an extra $500, and it comes with a unit, like a storage unit box. Yeah, it looks a lot like one of those equipment boxes for music instruments. But yeah, I'm wondering if you guys can fit your wheels into something like that as well, Gigi. I'll send you the link later, but this is my option that I probably will have to invest in soon because it folds up, it is a power chair, and there's a storage box that I can put into it. It's a hard-shelled storage box, and unfortunately it's like $3,000, but that's what I have to invest in order to save my power chair. And my vendor has advised me to make sure on the 4th year, a couple months before you get your new chair, make sure you get all of your chairs serviced while it's still covered by insurance, so that when you get your new chair, you can use the old chair as the backup chair to travel in case it gets messed up. You still have your brand new primary chair. So that's just a tip. Hopefully everyone can use. But yeah. All right, guys. I think it's about time to close out another amazing episode. Thank you, Bree, and thank you, Gigi, for coming on and sharing all these golden tips and also sharing your story. And also a special thank you to our viewers who tuned in today. If you guys enjoyed the show, feel free to like, subscribe, and also click the notification bell so that you can see future episodes. And also, if you would like to follow them, Gigi, would you like to tell them your Instagram, please?
Sure, yeah. And so if anyone has any questions about traveling or transverse mileage or anything at all, living in New York City, whatever, I'm GEEG_D, Geege _D on Instagram. Geege is like my nickname for my nickname.
Cute.
Go by Geege.
Cute. How about you, Bree?
Yeah, if you guys wanted to see the videos of everything that kind of happened with us traveling, our amazing trip to Arizona, there's some highlights on that, and the good and the joy of being a wheelchair user and not just the trauma.
Yeah.
You can follow me on TikTok or Instagram at Bree Scalisi, BRISCALESSE.
Yeah, I've also linked their Instagram below if you guys would like to follow. And if you would like to shop for Resilient Apparel, my link is in my bio down below. Also, the proceeds helps me afford ongoing physical therapy and other medical expenses. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!
Yeah.
You guys can stay on.